October 31, Halloween night. And with the Waterways Committee, thank you so much for joining us. The first of many workshops we're having, well, second or third of workshops we're having through the season. But before we begin, please rise, because our chairman, Mr. Hickey, has something to say.
I'd just like to begin our meeting by thanking you all for keeping the first chairman of the Waterways Commission, Warren Hathaway, just keeping him a member of our commission up until his last days. It was very difficult. He missed a lot of meetings, but his heart and soul was into the waterways of Dartmouth. So if it's okay with everybody, I'd just like to have a moment of silence in his memory. Thank you.
Thank you. Rest in peace, Warren. Okay.
It's like the old days.
I would like to wear that hat.
The old days.
Well, it was always cold. Okay. First off, I think it'd be appropriate that members of the Waterways Committee, maybe you could introduce yourself to us first and go down the line, because we may not know all of you, and we may know some of you very well, but
I'm Roger Race, a member of the Waterways.
Steve Maho, Harbor Master, Shellfish.
Jerry Hickey, Waterways Commission.
TJ Salvadio, Waterways Commission.
Kevin Murphy, I'm sure I'm known well to all.
Patty Sweariduck, member of Waterways.
Andy Hurley, member of Waterways.
great. Thank you so much. And we sincerely appreciate you joining us today. We as a group have committed ourselves to working with a number of committees and boards going forward. We've had a couple scheduled already, and we're going to do a handful more but before the end of the year, and then resume them in January. Why are we doing this? We do not want your job. We don't want to make decisions for you. We are trying to make our government as efficient, as flexible as possible. We're a big town with a small government, and it makes it extremely difficult sometimes to be efficient and get things done and keep communications well. And our job and our commitment now to our town as a board is to try to to make things as efficient and maybe rejuvenate them in different ways as well. The Charter Commission is now working on it, and we hope to maybe even at the end of all this to make some further recommendations to Charter so we can maybe make some changes there as well. So we appreciate you joining us, and we're open to have a lively discussion. We're here to talk about the mission, objectives, and how we get business done. Okay. The way we want to open up the discussion is maybe our interest really was in to say how you envision as a group how you see the role of waterways, and how does it need some either improvement, or are we doing things as well, certain things doing very well, and maybe you could open up the discussion, have something to say about the mission, how you think you should handle it. Anybody want to step forward and begin?
Maybe we just start out by saying just when the commission started many years ago, we were charged with certain tasks, and so what we did as a group was we started with identifying the needs in the waterway. So we did a regrid of the harbor. We did all the mooring regulations. We did all kinds of other activities like that, just straightening out all the needs that had to be met. There were north of the bridge, there were buoys not on the right markers. There were sunken bathtubs as moorings, all kinds of things. So we started out by just getting regulations in order. Once the regulations, we had all the gear in order, and we set all the rules and regulations that you might see on our website, and which, by the way, Steve Mello wrote most of it. And it is a model. If you look to some of the other harbors, it's a model of what other harbors have followed. So I'd just like to start with that. Some of the activities that we've done. basically, the way that a project would start is we would start with somebody would have a need, either one of us or the harbor master would identify a need. We'd have a discussion about it. We might, if we decide we wanted to move further with this thing, we might break into subcommittees, which is what we did right in the beginning. We had a group that broke down and met with all the mooring providers, and we set all the chains, the mooring size and shape and everything, all the pennants. Then we had another group that started working on regulations, and then we brought it all together, put it all together. And so basically, that's how we operate. We see whatever the need we feel we have. We discuss it, bring it to the harbor master, let him decide where he wants to go with it. He may initiate it, one of us may initiate it as a need, or it may come from the community. So I just start with that. I don't know if anybody else wants to jump in on anything else, or you have any questions.
I think in the interest, I think we ought to, I guess it'd be nice to just keep talking back and forth, but with so many
Okay.
people, someone's gonna have to just raise their hand and make a comment.
Fresh set of eyes, perhaps. As the newest member and a newer member of our town, I believe that civic involvement is extraordinarily important, and I believe that a town like this, which has such vast resources and vast land area, but is constrained by budget, relies on people like this committee to get together and volunteer our time to report back to you and help work it through. With regard to waterways, I think that the job, from what I thought it was going to be to what I've seen after almost a year now, it's ever expanding. The roles that seem to fall on the harbor master, which fall on our committee afterwards, seem to be very varied, and not just moorings and grids and tackle and things along those lines, but more of helping to shape our town moving forward with one of our greatest natural resources that we're blessed with here. And I consider our role to do everything that we can do together to get the most for our town. I will say one thing, that I wish people would think a little bit more about all the things we have as ours, rather than this belongs to that department or that belongs to that department. We had quite a bit of that up in Worcester when I lived up there, and I was the chairman of our license commission for 10 years. And so this isn't my first rodeo when it comes to this. And, I'm hoping going forward that we can find a more collaborative tone with each other and get things done, because in the end, no one has any vested interest. We all have the same vested interest in making our town better for the residents. But it's an honor to serve and be part of the town.
There's no question that Sean, go right ahead.
Let me ask you this question. This is just something I've been thinking about, and something that's been bandied about, and I'm looking at the commission that's there, and there's some vast experience, and Patty being on conservation and everybody. What do you think about the town reorganizing the waterways conservation into a natural resources department? Whereas having a little bit more emphasis on our natural resources in an all-encompassing department per se. Trying to bring in, still keeping the components of the Conservation Commission and the waterways separate, but kind of bringing everything under a single umbrella.
There are models out there. Nantucket has gone through, in the last 10 or 15 years, a major overhaul where they brought parks, beaches, conservation, I think animal control, shellfish, all within one department, and they found certain efficiencies through that. So we're not going to be inventing the wheel. We can look to other communities, and Nantucket's just one example. Some have combined everything, others have combined bits and pieces, and I think that's going to be an important part of breaking down those silos that were referred to.
Because one of the things that in the years,
Don't go too far back.
that in my experience of town government over the last 40 years, it's just these little fiefdoms that just drive me crazy. And there are other things that drive me crazy, you know. Post office is responsible for most of it with the zip codes of north and south, but most people don't realize there are actually 4 zip codes in the town of Dartmouth, not 2. But, you know, I just want to see better efficiencies, and I want to see boards talking to each other and not basing decisions in a vacuum. That whatever reason for it, there's a reason for it, and it fits the overall program for the town. But to that effect, I don't want to see one board trying to dictate what another board should do. I'm adamantly against that. But the philosophies of the boards should mesh together. Maybe that's a utopian thing, or maybe it's something that, you know, but I sincerely believe that there's something that can be done. And I think if we take a group of entities and meshing it into a single unit, it would work better for everybody overall. You know, and you would have the right hand knowing what the left hand is doing, and vice versa. So, eventually, that's what I would like to see, probably within the next 5 to 10 years, to see that.
If I may, I'm Patty Sweariduck. I don't think I've met you, Heidi, but I'm chair of the Harbor Plan Implementation Committee.
She's Miss Ginsburg tonight.
I figured that.
The RBG.
Do you understand? I think one of the things that's been interesting that we've done in the last year is that we have brought, we hope anyway, to have brought different departments together, including staff, commissioners, to work on specific issues, and brought them together to address goals and objectives within the harbor plan. And I've had wonderful experience dealing with Sean and Cody and many other people in the different departments. And it's been quite a wonderful experience in that how collaborative we can be, how much we can work together as a team with this model and arrive at some good decisions, arrive at some good solutions. So I don't know that the model that you're bringing forth, Sean, I don't really, haven't thought about that. So I'd have to think about that before I would give a cogent response. But I am in favor of people working collaboratively together. I think it's working very well and congenially. I think that's extremely important for us to be very respectful of each other and respect each other's expertise. There's a great deal of expertise here in all of your departments. And it's one of the reasons why I have been involved in one way or another for probably about 18 years here at the town, because there's so much expertise and so many good, kind people who all want to work for the benefit of the town. And when we work together and we work collegially and we just sort of put our heads down and think about a problem, we come up with good discussions and good solutions. The town has been, and Mr. McGinnis's office has been incredibly supportive and responsive. So whatever is going on there is good. So I think, Sean, to your point, I think working as a group, as a team, works. The particular model that you're speaking of, I'd have to think about in order to give a good response.
I think that, Patty, you understate your role and what you've done and collaborated with committees, but I think it speaks of your committee put together and sponsored a master plan for the harbor, and it was massive. I think it was 134 pages of a lot, very important stuff, and we tried to whittle it down. But my view is that as we go forward and we delve into these priorities of what we can do for the harbor, all it does is involve more and more departments and committees and staff and solutions. And they're all important. And even up till now, it's involved conservations. There's going to be parks on the Dias Landing. It's going to be so many different facets of our town, and I think that the way we structure and how we do it, and your committee really, at this point in time, is defined as advisory, and I'm not sure what that means, and if that enables you to do what you have to do to try to get this job done and expand your influence in terms of how we do things. And to me, that's more important, because the job's going to become more and more important as you go forward, because people just saw the picture of the article of all the land surrounding the harbor that's going to be vulnerable to the tide moves. And, you know, this stuff's going to come up now constantly. We have an issue down at Clark's Cove with water coming in. And this involves health department. And I think that it's important that we look at this in a much more global, cooperative basis. And that's how I look at it myself personally. And I'd like to look at that and work with the charter to see how we can do that better. And certainly from your perspective, how you as a group discuss it and come up with what you think would be the best plan too.
I'd also, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's all right. I just wanted to say, that being said, what Sean McDonald just stated is nothing that we've talked about.
Right.
So I don't want to give the waterways an impression that we're looking at conjoining any boards at this time. It's this would be the first I've heard of it. So I just don't want you to, as a takeaway, saying, oh, they're looking to do something.
We're all here for
Not
the
yet.
same reason.
Yeah, we're all here for the same
Hickey?
reason, yeah.
Not yet.
Just 2 points. Number one, I don't think people in the non-boating community really understand the complexity of the harbor, all its aspects, how difficult it is to just manage. For example, I don't think most people understand, at the Dias Landing, for example, there are 1,000 boats a year that come in and out, that launch and are hauled. But you don't see it, but there are at least 1,000 boats. The dredging is so important. I don't think people, when you start talking about these things, you say, well, I don't see anybody there. But there are a lot of people in and out of there. And you got a harbor master and assistant harbor master. I don't think people on the outside who are non-boating community people understand the complexity of this whole project. And part of what we'd like to do is see if we can get more knowledge about what we're trying to do, get our office. I mean, we need some help. The perception is there are a lot of people working there. There aren't. We need to get that part together. Hopefully you can help us with that. It's very difficult hiring people. And I know we're not the only board in that situation. I talk to everybody, and it's like everybody, you can't get people. So those are some of the problems that I see that we need to address.
I would just add that I've listened to Steve Mellon now working with us at the Harbor Management Plan, and Steve has an unbelievable knowledge of not just boating, which it comes to him naturally, but about shellfishing and oyster and about access and public access, all the things that it goes beyond just boating. And I think my personal opinion is that we need to spread Steve into an area and give him the support he needs so he can become what is a harbor master. And maybe it's a different defined role, because it's more than just boating. It's more than just moorings. And it's going to change all the time. Clean water.
I would also say that in my working with Harbor Management Plan Committee, Steve Mello, our harbor master, is a compendium of historical information about the harbor. He has vast knowledge of every corner of the harbor. And I think that he has just he has been critical to the Harbor Management Plan Committee's workings. He has, if you ask him a question, quite often, sorry, Steve, I'm going to have to, he hates this, by the way, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm going to sing his praises because I think so highly of him. But he is quiet about things, but if you ask him a question, he knows the answer. And it's not just a historical answer, not what he knows from the last 25 years or however long you've been here. He knows the answer today, like what's, boots on the ground today. He's an integral part of our committee, as are Mark Garrett and Christine O'Grady and the commissioners and folks on the Harbor Plan Committee. It's a joy for me to see this group working together as a team and with the talent that exists at the town level. And it's really quite amazing how much expertise you have here. It's really wonderful to work with them. I think Jerry's right in that lots of times people don't really understand what the harbor is all about. And I think the Harbor Plan Implementation Group, I hope, is making inroads into having folks, boaters and non-boaters alike, understand all the workings of the harbor, what goes on in the harbor, all the things that the Harbor Plan speaks of that we're trying to address, not always implement, but address. Sometimes things change. As soon as the plan is published, things change. But it's a wonderful group, and so collaboration is a great thing.
Mrs. Brooks?
So I have a couple of questions going back to the agenda, which is the mission and objectives, goals and timelines of the Waterways Committee, separate from Harbor Management Plan, which I think the Dias Landing Marina project is coming under Harbor Management Plan. So if you could just explain to me the waterways roles, which are separate from Harbor Management Plan. I mean, I'm seeing that they intertwine because some of you are on both, but.
Right. And there's a close working collaboration, close working relationship between the two. And of course, you see some of us on harbor management that are also on waterways. So it's a very good collaboration. But waterways is, perhaps you said or somebody said, is waterways is an advisory role to our harbor master.
Is that the way it should be?
That's the way it is right now, Dave.
It's the way it is right now.
And I have to say, I've never seen it in government language that I've seen before, but it basically says, in the end, it says nothing that Waterways does supersedes the authority of the harbor master. And
That's right. That's right.
Maybe that should change.
I'm asking.
There was an attempt at a town meeting in the not-so-distant past to change the role of waterways. It did not pass. I think it was resoundingly defeated, but it would have expanded the role and the powers of the Waterways Commission. I think it would have removed the word advisory. I'm not sure that it was properly put before the town. I don't know that there was any advertisement, education to the public or anything like that. I'm not going to second guess why it failed, but that was an attempt. In my mind, I've always seen the Waterways Commission, one important function is they represent the boaters that are paying fees. In the same way that the Select Board represents the citizens who are paying real estate taxes, the citizens of the town, the boaters of Dartmouth are varied. There are some from Dartmouth, there are some from everywhere. And there's no voice that those boaters would get for the fees that they're paying, but for the Waterways Commission. As a sounding board, as a suggesting board, as an oversight, whether you've got somebody in the role of harbor master who disregards and wants to run like a tyrant, I think the Waterways Commission serves an important purpose in being a go-between or a buffer or a representative of those boaters that are paying their fees for at least the fees they're paying.
But aren't we asking Waterways to do more than just be involved with boaters?
Absolutely.
And to me, that's the definition, or that needs a redefinition. And I don't know what it should be, that definition, but, you know, and what's necessary. How long ago was that town meeting, Steve?
I would suggest 10 years. I may be off by a few, but about
Could be
10
even
years
more than
ago.
that, huh?
Steve, do you think it was part of the rework of the last charter committee?
yeah.
No, it
No,
was
it's
not
completely
part of-
separate?
This was a separate warrant article. I'd have to go back, I have all of those sadly, but I have to go back and look at it. And it was a multi-paragraph. Joe Hannon was still town council, if that
Yeah.
helps.
10 years.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
If I could add one thing to that, I thought waterways in going on it was about access. It was about access for all to our water.
Public
our water,
access, yeah.
Public
Okay.
access. I believe that is what our role is, and they've touched on it. But as a person who was a resident of the harbor for 25 years before I became a resident of the town, I always felt that at least we had some say as to the ability to access the resources that fall within the town of Dartmouth. There are many other communities where access to the public of their resources is very limited. A lot of them are extraordinarily restricted to town residents and things along those lines. Whereas I don't think Dartmouth is like that. Dartmouth is about bringing people in that sooner or later a lot of us become part of the community. So that's what I think our role is, and it should be. It's just not about moorings and things along those lines. And the liaison set up through the harbor master is probably the best way I can think of organizing it right now. The only other thing I could suggest is maybe there are liaisons amongst all the boards that are intersecting each other to Mr. McGinnis's position. That there'd be better information, better free-flowing dialogue going back and forth. Sometimes I feel like we're isolated and, we just go around in a circle.
So what is something that the Waterways is working on right now? A
Dyer's
goal
Land-
or objective? So it's the
Dyer's
Dyer's
Landing
Landing.
has taken quite a bit of time. Since I've been, it's been pretty much what we've been talking about since, in addition to all the other things that were ongoing issues before Dyer's Landing showed up on the radar screen.
Mr. Nicholson?
So interesting that pick up on what TJ's been talking about. So you mentioned something in the neighborhood of over 1,000 boats are launched at Dyer's Landing. Do we have any numbers? Are they all Dartmouth residents? Are they permitted? I'm not a boater, so please excuse my ignorance, but
No,
I think people would like to know that.
It's a great question. I was questioned once by a Dartmouth resident about the number of moorings that are going to non-residents. I think he felt slighted and thought that there were more non-residents. We did a survey on our database just using the mailing address zip code. Sorry, Mr. McDonald, but the zip codes, and we were able to find that this is, I believe, 5 or 6 years ago, but 2/3 of the boaters that reside in the harbor were Dartmouth residents. 1/3 were non-residents coming from as far away as Canada. We have California residents that come here for the summer, but 2/3 fully, and I believe that's still to be true, are Dartmouth zip code when we mail out the decals, when we correspond with them. I think that's impressive. We're not doing that by exclusion. We're not doing that on purpose. That's the way it falls. The state law doesn't allow the town of Dartmouth or any town to preclude non-residents. We have to treat all residents of the Commonwealth equally, whether they live in Freetown, North Dartmouth, South Dartmouth. They have to have equal access to a mooring to the waterfront, and it just flows naturally that 2/3 are our own. And we have a lot of those boats that get launched at the Dyer's Landing commercially that leave our harbor, and they spend the summer on Cuttyhunk, or they go to New Bedford, Fairhaven, anywhere they want. But that is the access point, giving economic viability to at least 3 boatyards on the waterfront, maybe 4, actually.
So there's no permitting for these people that show up on a Sunday morning and go out fishing?
Oh,
Launch
absolutely.
their
there's
boat.
permitting. Absolutely.
They
Well, that's
pay,
what I'm asking.
they pay either a season launch permit or they pay per day.
Okay.
If the boat stays in the water 14 cumulative days, then they have to have a boat permit to stay in the water at a dock on a mooring.
Yeah, understood, yeah. But that's my question. Thank you.
We have 15 minutes only, and I'd like to make sure we now try to focus on best of what are we trying to accomplish here today and what can we look forward to. Studying on the paperwork and the charter and all the definitions of who's in charge and who does what, my view has always been that the harbor master reports to the town administrator. The Waterways Commission is advisory, and the expansion of all the things that are under your control or just purview is expanding in a giant way. And the needs of the town are just exploding. And is this the present format we have now? Is that really workable and efficient to try to get more things done and be more, whether it be public access, clean water, shell fishing, Dias Landing, parking, all those things? What's the best way to get this done and expand? And if you tell us, and your recommendation is it's fine the way it is, that, that's the way it is. But this is, to me, it's the fastest growing committee we have in town. And clean water is what's more important at this point, Mr. Miller.
My humble opinion, we have gone from an office that was run on Rolodex index cards, paper and pen, to a database that other towns want a copy from, to water quality issues that we never dealt with before, access issues that are expanding. We're moving, and we're moving in the right direction. We need to keep up. I think it's no secret I need to get the right staff on board, because we're only all here for a few turns around this planet. So someone's got to be able to step in, succession planning is what it's called, and be able to pick up the ball and run with it. And I'm all about working with the commission, working with the board, staff, to find out whether that's an integrated department or whether it's our department grows. I don't know the right answer to that. That would look to the form of the government, but I'm on board to making sure that we can keep moving in that direction. As we get more and more water, and more of our land is to be going underwater.
Too much water.
Yeah, we need to be able to address that. There's no shortage of popularity.
In addition to the landing, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to work. I mean, having a team that is there to really support Steve, that's where I see as an advisory commission of what Steve's working on. We're here to help either bring things to the table that he may not be aware of, because we talk to the boaters and we are boaters, but also support the initiatives he has. And, as these initiatives grow through the master plan, through the harbor development plan, and the focus around the waterfront, I really see the staffing as a really big piece. As Steve is so knowledgeable in all the various areas and the focus is growing, I mean, we just need to grow the team underneath Steve to probably do a lot of the legwork and let him, pull the strings and be on, that part of the department. So, for us, trying to help focus and really drive that through the town, of really get Steve a team that he can, that can work with him to accomplish these tasks, because there's a lot on the table and there's a lot coming down the pike. I see that as a really key piece.
Sure.
Mr. Hickey?
And also, I think you've got to tell us and be more clear as to what your expectations of this group might be, because sometimes we start doing things we don't understand whether this is. I'll give you one example. We want to. Kevin spent a lot of time working on trying to get housing for our boats, and yet we didn't know if that's something that can, a phone call, a letter to Sean, can Sean just do that? Does Sean have the authority to do that? Or does Sean have to have a meeting, have to run it by the committee? So we don't really understand. Sometimes you assume that we know everything that's going on from your point of view, but not all the time. And I don't understand the process. I don't go to all your meetings and.
Maybe a way to handle that is on de minimis things or small value things. Have the committee make a final recommendation that's somewhat binding, or I don't know how to use the word, but doesn't tie up the major components of town government over what are arguably small issues to town government, but large issues to the committee. And maybe that's a way of streamlining things a little bit. Sometimes I feel like
You know,
we just go in a circle.
whether it be storage or anything else, I think the process is what matters most. And we don't know if you need storage. That's a voting issue, that's your purview and your strength. However, there's a process to get that done. And I think going forward, we're not looking backwards, we're looking forward, is the process is that I think it's your responsibility with a group or a subgroup or as a committee, say, okay, we need this, let's go through it, let's recommend it and pass it on to us, because there's, as we all found out, there's rules, there's laws that I wouldn't expect you to know, but that's our job.
And and we understand
Yep.
that you have to do your due diligence.
Yep.
I mean, Sean, he's got the responsibility of making sure whatever he signs off on, he represents the town, and the town's gonna be liable for whatever that.
There is no way to get around process exists, period.
Yep.
If I had to run my business that way, I would have been retired 15 years ago. It just doesn't work that way. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're protecting the public, we're protecting people who
Absolutely.
broke the laws in the past and put up laws that frankly, some of them are ridiculous, but that's the way it goes.
If I could say, I think Mr. Hurley, he brought up, I think, a very good point, which is, and I think collectively what I've heard is that, and I think we seem to, all of us, I think, seem to be on the same page, which is the presence of the harbor is, it's just getting bigger and bigger in terms of how, we want people to have public access to the harbor. We want all of our town residents to enjoy the harbor. And there's more things going on in the harbor than there used to be. There's more stuff going on. The harbor plan has certainly raised that. There's a lot going on. A lot of projects, a lot of grants being applied for. There's just so much going on. It's changed. Cody and I went to the July meeting of the National Working Waters Network in Boston. And the amount of stuff that goes on all over this country in coastal towns is really quite incredible. A lot of them have harbor plans. There's an explosion of tasks and things to do and grants and things. And their harbor masters are more and more involved on a higher level, as they should be, especially if they have a lot of knowledge about the harbor, a lot of expertise about the harbor, and work cooperatively, as we do, with others. But there are tasks, as you have said so eloquently, that need to get done in order for all of these increasing demands on waterways, our harbor master, the town, right? I mean, we have a committee and we're all working like crazy, right? And so there's more to do. So that to me means there needs to be more staff, to assist doing some of the things that,
I'd like
So-
to make a comment
yeah.
on the staff, if I may. I think truly, every one of us in this room can take responsibility for not getting staff by hook or by crook. Whether it be Steve notifying us and helping us out, your group saying, come hell or high water, we're gonna find a way to get more people, or for us to say, get the power of the town behind HR and find you the people you need, every one of us. And I think that is the weakest link, and that could be a way for us to forge ahead by saying, okay, let's get him the help he needs. It's in the budget, we're not even spending the money. It's a crime. And Steve's doing things that, that he shouldn't be doing. And I think we can all take responsibility for that. Let's just let's call it the way it is. And find a way to get the power of our new HR director, who's hired how many people in the last month? Quite a few, but none for the waterways.
What is her name? What's her email address?
Steve has it.
Steve
But
has it, okay.
that's exactly what I was going to say, Dave, is there's
Okay.
money to do that. I think the impression that some people may have is that the position is a seasonal position, and it isn't. There can be seasonal
Whatever it
employees
is, yep.
because the harbor is in use, sort of made in November a little bit, certainly more than November to May. But there's work to be done 12 months a year. So what Steve needs is clerical assistance 12 months a year. So I do think that this is a critical time, especially as we're entering in, going forth with the Dyer's Landing Marina project and other harbor, other aspects of the harbor management plan, is there needs to be someone in the office who is, coordinating that information and in real time, and not one more task for Steve.
Whatever it is, we have an HR director who can sort that out, work with Steve, present it, work with your whole committee and say, okay, here's what it is, it's within the budget, and let's go out and do it. And come hell or high water, hire these people we need. And get that off the table as one of the reasons why we can't move forward.
I think that will alleviate.
And let Steve be the manager that I hope and pray that he can be, because he got a staff with him, and he can become, a harbor master plus, whatever that is you guys define.
We had this at one point, where we had clerical assistants and handling all that,
Okay. Yep.
and it
Okay.
was working well. All of a sudden, she had to leave.
Well,
Yep. And then we got COVID, and
I don't think there's any reason to look back. We're looking forward, and this town's got to do its job, all of us in this room. And if anything can come out of this meeting, I think that's it, because it's not just people. It's other issues that come up that are big, and you recommend it to us, you come to us, we have a meeting, discussion, we set our priorities and move forward with a process. Because Mr. McGinnis has taught us that processes would exist here. That's the way you get things done, be people together. Is that a misquote, Mr. McGinnis?
No.
Well, and also, it's important to the select board, because in the select board goals, under our long-range strategic planning, we have a bullet for support the Waterways Committee and the Harbor Management Plan Implementation Committee on implementation of the Harbor Management Plan. And that's part of our role.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
So, and it's very clear that there needs to be
Okay,
more help in the
we have about
office.
3 minutes, Mr. McGinnis.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate some of the things that are said here, because, one thing we've really stressed internally with the staff, and Patty, you've seen that, is teamwork and collaboration. We really put teams together for everything, and it's worked out really well. Because a lot of times, whether you're one department, you're on one committee, you're on one board, you don't see the big picture in town. You think, well, this is what we want to focus on, and you don't know that there's other things going on in other departments that affect what you want to do. So we look at it, and I think, Patty, your Harbor Management Plan Implementation Committee has really set the example of how a committee should work with town, and I think you've seen the town's very supportive. There's a process. We don't like the process. We don't make the rules all the time. We are tasked with enforcing the rules to protect the liability of the town, and you appreciate that, and you think you see it seems like things are moving slowly, but they're actually moving quickly over time. So, and we compare what wants to be done with the harbor management plan to the select board's goals to other departments. So whether it pertains to recreation, I know Dyer's Landing is, it's a collaboration. So we really try to kind of balance all that internally and work with the boards and committees externally. And that, so it seems like we're giving a committee a hard time sometimes. It's not. There's a chain of command. It's really helpful in an organization to know who the contact is and who the staff should be contacting. I think historically Waterways has operated. It gets confusing sometimes between Steve, some of the other staff, when they hear directly from the Waterways Committee or from any committee in town. So we have an issue where a committee member is a volunteer, and we appreciate the volunteer efforts. The town doesn't run without volunteers, but we also have staff that we're trying to run this operation, and when they hear from committee members, they don't know who to listen to. So we have to have discussions around that. So it's important in this chain of command to maintain that. Also, when you look at operations, and Steve and I have talked about this, you mentioned clerical support. Well, we used to have clerical support. We need clerical support. That model is gone, and this is something that we've worked on in other departments to really make the town more efficient, more competitive, more up to date. We don't replace clerical positions, but we look at other positions because we have a lot of qualified, talented staff here with these great skill sets. We want them doing more so they can provide better service to the public. So we don't want them doing clerical support. We look at it, have we done everything online we can? Do we provide as much information? Can we put the mooring database online? These are things that we're looking at where this frees up Steve with more time to be thinking about big picture things. So when we're dealing with the waterways, I know sometimes it can seem adversarial. It's not like that. It just gets confusing because the town has a process side, we're all on the same page, we're moving forward in one direction, and then if everybody doesn't see that, it only takes, a few people to kind of really confuse things. It demotivates, and, you want to make sure that you understand who the staff are and how they operate. And Patty has appreciation for that. I keep leaning on you because you've set the tone. So that's one thing we want to stress. So it's not so much, it's really just collaboration. How do you want to move forward? The Waterways Committee should say, get together at a meeting and say, we think this is worth pursuing, or we see this in Steve. What do you think of this? Do you want to pursue it? Steve says, yes, let's go. I'll bring it before the select board, and we'll get that ball in motion. That way, the select board, or I might see it and say, well, okay, but wait a minute, this department wants to do this too, so why don't we collaborate? This grant money, why don't we do this? So it's not just, the harbor, you talk about the harbor, it's the Waterways Committee, so there's other waterways in town too. We want to make sure that we're servicing for the community. So it's just really important to look at that big picture. We try to do that in town, so that's kind of what, we want to elicit that as part of this workshop meeting too, so we're all on the same page.
Okay.
So I need something clarified,
We have a minute or
because,
two, but go ahead, Mrs. Brooks.
well, if we were just talking about needing some clerical support, and you're saying the model now is to reduce clerical support to get more things online, so does that mean he needs an assistant harbor master that focuses?
Well,
That has a job description that focuses on more of that?
We've started looking at kind of operations
Okay.
and how to better provide services.
Okay.
We've challenged our HR director to get very involved and work very closely with her because she's well qualified. She's hit the ground. She's a professional. She's done this her career. And we need to use her in number one priority. We have a DPW that's probably 1 and 1A of getting people in, and I think in your case, it's an absolute critical priority. And she's really good, and she works well with Sean, and she'll help you out.
I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
Because I'm going to, I don't want to just have the last word, certainly. But I'm, he's laughing. But I'm grateful that we're meeting. Because there's clearly things that we can do better. And we look to your guidance for that. And we also appreciate the fact that you're asking us what we think we need. And we're very appreciative of that. I think we definitely need, however HR works it, I think we definitely need more help. Steve needs more help, just can't do everything. Although God knows, he might be able to.
Without objection, that may have to be the last word unless someone absolutely has to say something. I think
I'll shut up now.
My last word would be a thank you for organizing this meeting and giving us an opportunity to express some of our feelings here. And hopefully we can continue with this down the road.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
100%. We'll be more. Okay?
Good.
Thank you very, very much. This meeting is adjourned.
No, it's not.
No,
Too loud,
it's still
Sean.
on. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, we're just going to
We're just going
executive
to recess.
It's not adjourned.
Oh, that meeting.
Well, that one is,
We don't,
right?
we're not in control of them.
Okay. Yeah, they didn't even,
And we have to open up our meeting
yep.
and then go into executive
Right,
session
okay,
with a roll call vote.
okay.
Yeah, now we have.
Okay. The time is now 5, we're all set. Thank you very much. We've got to keep moving. Thanks again for coming.
We never see each other except online.
Well, it's nice to see we have legs and.
5:48.
Thank you. The time is now 5:48, and pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, meeting of October 31, 2022, I need a motion.
So moved.
Seconded.
We are going into executive session. I vote for Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Mickelson.
Yes.
Mrs. Brooks.
Yes.
Mr. Gracie.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. We are adjourned. We will be back here at 6:30. Thank you very much. I'd like to call to order the Select Board meeting of October 31, Halloween. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing so we can honor our veterans, both past and present. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mickelson. Okay. I'd like to just briefly honor, we have a couple of special guests tonight based on Halloween. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is here, thank you. Yep. And Mr. Lincoln will be here. They both passed on, but we're here in spirit, so thank you very much.
I hear him talking now.
Makes it, okay. Next.
First, not next.
Yes. First is going to be, we're going to Part D, which is the DPW disposal bag policy and store notice. We're going a little bit out of order in honor of Commissioner Mr. Barber, who needs to move on and do the town's work in other places. Could you step forward, Mr. Barber? Mr. McGinnis.
Yes, so there was an issue last month where a supermarket in town was inadvertently charging tax on the town orange bags. We tried to get the word out, but we thought having Mr. Barber in to update the board on the issue and how it was resolved and what it affected and how we're moving forward.
Sure, I heard of the issue on October 2nd. I was asked if the price for pay-as-you-throw bags was increased to $5.49, and it was not. We keep the bags at the same price all the time, and there's no tax to be charged on the bags. We contacted our manufacturer, and they reached out to, it was Stop and Shop, was a retailer. Stop and Shop did some research and found out that it was a company-wide issue. It was a software glitch where a lot of products were actually inadvertently taxed, and they were working on it to get that resolved. They resolved the issue and then issued a statement that any residents who paid more could visit the store with either a receipt or their shopper discount card, and they can receive a refund on any items that were taxed inadvertently. So our bag supplier also reached back out to us, and they were going to put a memo together just to send out to all the vendors to make sure that the prices are all staying the same and there's not to be an increase.
Thank you.
Comments from anybody?
No, it's just, I understand, the glitch, and people wanted to know why the bags went from $5 to $5.49. I mean, common sense generally doesn't go with government, but a government entity would not charge 49 cents additional for a bag. They would charge it in the round dollars. Federal, government like to work in whole dollars and not pennies. But what's more important, though, is that if people out there see this or to at least report it somehow, whether it's reported to the select board office or reported to the DPW, whether the bag prices are not being charged. It's $5 and $10. That's it. Nothing else. And there's no tax. So if, a local convenience store chain charges you taxes, you tell them, no, it's not. And let them take it up with their managers or district managers. But, for the people out there, if you see this happening, and, just don't, make a phone call. It's a lot easier to make a phone call than to post something on social media and ask somebody whether or not this is happening to them. The quicker we can get a handle on it, the better it is. So, anyway.
Absolutely, and I don't even think we fielded any calls at our office regarding the price increase.
No.
Oh, it was only on Facebook.
It was more on Facebook, yeah.
Like
social
always.
media.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
My suggestion also be, I think we have about, 25 or 30 vendors who sell in the town?
Yep.
Can we send also a note from the select board to please, because I know my own experience is not the bags they're charging, but you can put something in a category of taxable when it shouldn't have been taxed, period. and it just gets in the wrong category by mistake.
Sure.
And this to me is not intentional, and I think that, why not, if we send them to
Just a reminder.
send them to the store manager of these, not to the home office, the store manager locations. Is that too difficult to do, or?
A reminder that not.
Yeah, please,
charge that, yeah.
please check your system to be sure we're not charging tax.
Sure.
And once it's locked in, no tax, it won't change unless they make a change, so. But I know that's, if we go through and charge vendors and wait for the supplier to do it, it'd be that much longer.
Right.
Because maybe there's one or two still doing it.
It could be. I haven't heard of any, but, and our supplier, like I said, is also going to send a memo to the vendors, so.
Well, in our packet, we have a list of the vendors,
Right.
and there's less than 20.
Right. And there's, by the way, there's one less on that list to need to eliminate, so we won't mention any names. But I think.
Correct.
What's that?
Correct.
Yeah, so in the interest of just a simple note from the town, we can do that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is that, anything else on the bags themselves?
Don't go there.
What's that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Done.
We're done?
In our packet, we had other,
Oh, those are just the policies.
oh, okay.
Do you have any other comment on the policies of any kind in this whole SMART program that you want to address at this point, or just mention?
No, not at this moment.
You like the way it's going?
So far, so good.
Okay.
Status quo.
Status quo.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. McDonald?
I'm fine.
Okay. Anybody else, comments? Mr. Gracie?
No, that's good.
Okay,
Good solution.
we're done.
Thank you.
very
Have
much.
a great night.
Okay, we go back up to the top of the list. Letter A, which is Dartmouth Preserve Regulatory Agreement signing.
Yes, this is part of the Dartmouth Reserve 40B that is proposed to be constructed in town along Route 6 at Caris North. Our attorney for our 40B process is here tonight to talk about a regulatory agreement that needs to be signed, approved by the board and signed by the town administrator.
Good evening. Thank you all. I kind of want to say, may it please the court, looking at the Honorable Justice Ginsburg down there.
Very good.
But what I have in front of you tonight is the Regulatory and Use Agreement, which is a part of the comprehensive permit process. After the comprehensive permit has been issued, it essentially reaffirms some of the provisions in the permit that are the regulatory conditions. It reaffirms use restrictions, rental instructions, the tenant selection process, the limited dividend company, what happens if there's any change in ownership, and cost certification. This document was prepared by the permittee, so it was prepared by First Dartmouth's counsel. It's been reviewed by myself and DHCD. All those comments that we had were incorporated. First Dartmouth has signed it. The next step is for the select board to vote to approve it, and then have a motion to have the chair sign it and have it notarized, and then it goes back to First Dartmouth. They'll get it to DHCD to be executed, and then it goes back to First Dartmouth to be recorded. So it's a bunch of steps in the process, but because this is a recorded document, it needs live signatures, things like that. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, it's a really straightforward document. It's been through regulatory review. It's really an element, a requirement of the comprehensive permit, and I would just ask for an approval and a signature.
Questions, comments from anyone?
Housekeeping, right?
Pretty much, yes.
Motion to approve.
No, if Karis has said it's so good, okay, then it's okay.
We need a second.
I'll second the
Okay, we have a
motion.
second?
Oh, Frank seconded.
Frank, second. Okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion?
I'm just a little concerned about the FMRs being totally out of whack. The FMR for the Taunton area for one bedroom is 12.
Could you define FMR for the public?
Fair market rents.
Fair market rent, thank you.
The FMRs for Taunton area is $1,233 for a one-bedroom, $1,619 for a two-bedroom. New Bedford is $903 for a one-bedroom, $1,114 for for a two-bedroom, and I'm trying to locate Bristol County's FMRs, and right now through the HUD website, and it's just an absolute, just like anything HUD, it's an absolute disgusting.
Nightmare.
Yeah, taking a look at it.
That too.
But I think the affordable rents that they've listed in this agreement are just totally out of whack.
This has been through DHCD, and DHCD provided those rents and approved those rents. So unfortunately, I don't know that there's much we can do once DHCD has approved them. I'm happy to reach out to DHCD and talk to their affordable housing coordinator and see if they have any information and confirm what this is based off of.
Yeah, I'd like to see what it is based off of, because to be honest with you, I can't. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. You know, I mean,
Do you see them
I
as being high?
I deal with FMRs. I've been dealing with it for 40 years. I just don't see it. I just think these are totally out of touch.
But DHCD is the monitoring agent here. They're the ones who not only set the numbers as the regulatory agency, they're the subsidizing agency, and they're the monitoring agency.
So the owners had nothing to do with this?
The owners don't set these numbers. They may,
No.
they may ask for a certain number, but it still has to be approved by DHCD at the end of the day.
Which tells me that the state agency is out of touch, which is something I already know.
Oh,
What are the numbers reported, please?
I'm not in.
Sorry, what are the numbers?
Yeah, what are the?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep, the two-bedroom rent is $1,515 with a $283 utility allowance, and the three-bedroom unit is $1,682 with a $355 utility allowance.
Thank you. That does sound high.
Well, what are our options here? To accept them as written because they were done by the so-called authority? Or we challenge it to see if we can get some feedback from them to see what they have to say about it based on our
they're not going
questions?
to change. They're not going to change their mind. I can
Right.
tell you that right now.
But I understand your concern, Mr. Donald, but we also need to get the document signed.
Correct.
If there's any chance that they will come back to us with some kind of an adjustment, because they had to revisit and it could warrant it, that's a possibility, but what's the possibility, the real possibility of that in your mind?
I think it's unlikely, but it's certainly, no one is looking to rent these apartments this month, right? They haven't even been built yet. So there is a little bit of time. If you would feel more comfortable, if I would reach out to DHCD and have a conversation, and I can come back and report to you, or you could vote to approve subject to, any further conversation with DHCD, and I can report to Mr. McGinnis, how that conversation goes, whatever you think is the most efficient, whatever makes you all the most comfortable. This agreement will have to get signed at some point. It's an obligation of all the parties. But, and we'd like to obviously get it done. But if you have questions, I certainly,
Is this something that would take them a while to respond to us?
It shouldn't.
Realistically?
No, it shouldn't.
did they also take into effect the size of the apartments that they're offering?
No, it's
that a
really
piece? No.
based on the statistics for income in the metro area that they're utilizing, which would be the Bristol metro, the Bristol County.
Mr. McDonald?
I mean, we can wait and get an answer for them, but this has to be signed, so it just.
I think we should sign a contingent on the conversation.
Is that a motion, Frank?
We have a
Sure.
motion on the floor right now.
Well, okay, I can revise the motion.
Okay?
So the motion is to sign it, and if there is any way that you can file some kind of a document to lower the costs, then you can get in touch with us. But at this point, the numbers are, I got them right here, 1515 with a utility allowance of 283, two-bedroom, and 1682 with a utility allowance 335 for a three-bedroom.
Correct.
I'll second Stan's motion.
Okay, so the clarify, the motion is to sign the document, but pending final comment from Karis as to what the response was, and you may not have to come back again. You can communicate.
I'll communicate with
Right,
Mr. McInnes and let you know what I hear back from DHCD. I'm perfectly comfortable reaching
Okay.
out to them and pushing back a little bit and asking
Okay,
what the basis
great.
for the number is. If nothing else, you can at least have an explanation for what the number is.
And the attempted time frame would be,
2 weeks?
oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
I hear nay. 4-1.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Okay. Next, letter B, CZM Seawall Design Public Meeting has been tabled, postponed to another time. Okay. Next. Letter C, 61A, filing on 859 Potomska Road. Hi, please introduce yourself.
Mark Roderick, 859 Potomska Road.
Right into the microphone, Mark, please.
Mark Roderick, 859 Potomska Road.
Okay. Mr. McGinnis?
Yes, this is a 61A filing of two parcels. They've both been reviewed by Planning, Conservation, the Ag Commission, and they have elected not to recommend the board exercise their right of first refusal.
So we've learned in this process, when it comes to us, all those boards, including Ag, have approved the non-interest. Okay. Any comments from you?
Nope.
Okay. Silence is golden sometimes.
Right.
Okay. Any questions for our guest? Okay, how about a
Make a
motion?
motion that the select board do not exercise its right for first refusal on this property, on 859 Potomska
We're
Road.
doing two at the same time, or
You can do two
two
parcels.
at the same time? The two properties?
Both parcels?
Yes.
Both parcels.
This, both parcels, yeah.
Right.
There'll be another one later on when I have a purchase and sales
Mean
for
the
it.
third one?
Yes.
Okay.
I was wondering if the process goes a little faster this time, since you're not exercising your right for these two
Well, I know
lots
about
here.
the-
It's gotta go to all the other boards first, too, you know, so that's the, unfortunately, that's the process with the 61A.
Right.
It's gotta go here, 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 and here, and then it gets to us.
Well, the only thing is, it did get held up a little, so whatever you did to get it done the very last time, do the same thing.
Right, okay,
But we try to help you out too, because it's.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
It's a lot of committees.
right.
Okay, so we have a motion?
I'll second.
A second. Any questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
I hear none. 5-0. Thank you, and
Wonderful.
we'll do what we can to process the third one as quick as we can.
Okay, will I receive something in the mail now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for waiting. Okay.
It was worth the time.
Mass Clean Water Trust signing, Mr. McGinnis.
Yes, Gary Carrero, our interim director of budget and finance, is here to explain this to the board.
One of those red and whites.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of the board. So tonight, we have in front of us a $1,174,616, what's called interim loan agreement with the trust, formerly known as Mass Water Pollution Abatement Trust. Now it's the Clean Water Trust. They changed the name about, I believe, 5 years ago. This is a 2% loan lasting 20 years. And in this rate environment, this is a pretty good rate to get on any type of loan. Right now, we're seeing about 5%, 6% conventional borrowing. So this is for the Triello methane project that's going on, and this would supplement the funds to help that project. So what I'm requesting tonight is for the board to approve this, so I can get this to the trust tomorrow, and we can get the paperwork to them, so that we can begin the borrowing process.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have any questions or comments?
No.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nay, I hear none. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great presentation. Next, we have ARPA Bristol County Grant Agreement signing.
Mr. Ferrero's here.
You again?
Okay.
So, as you know, the Bristol County Opera has about $5.7 million for us to start drawing down on. We're starting to get some projects from the different departments. So what this grant agreement does is it's a boilerplate blanket agreement that needs to be signed as part of a record for the county to have. And then we can begin the process of drawing down the funds. We have a couple in the queue right now. We have to go online and do that. So this is one of the documents that they needed the board to sign, just to have on record.
And these are for the projects that the board voted to approve previously.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Motion to approve.
Okay. Second. Anybody have any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None? I hear none. 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yellows need to be signed.
Okay. Next, 61A-1157 Russell Mills Road signing.
Yes, so this 61A was voted by the board at the last meeting. Counsel for the applicant was just asking for the board to sign off on this notice of non-exercise. Previously, we had not been, it was not required, but town council thought it was easy to submit to the request from their council. So the board just doesn't need to vote, they just need to sign off if they have no problems with that.
Okay, that's just two signatures.
problem.
Okay. I think it's just two signatures.
Oh, and
Okay.
this is
We
the
do it
grant
now.
agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up here.
Yep.
That's you.
Over there.
Right, okay. Sorry out there, talks amongst yourselves, I guess, huh? Okay,
That's the 61A.
okay. All set?
All set.
Okay. Next, Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. We have a guest.
Don't put your pen down.
Hello, I'm Brock Cordero, and I wanted to come before you to ask for a vote to proclaim November as Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. If I can just say a few things. Pancreatic cancer is the third deadliest cancer in the United States. It actually, this year, the American Cancer Society estimates that over 62,000 people will be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and nearly 50,000 will die from it this year. To put that a little more into perspective locally, in Massachusetts, that's 1,400 residents of the Commonwealth will be diagnosed, and 1,110 will estimate to die this year from the disease. Nationally, it's the third deadliest cancer behind lung cancer and colorectal, but in the Commonwealth, it's actually the second deadliest, behind only lung cancer. And actually, we have a little bit of to celebrate because we have increased our 5-year survival rate by 1%. It's actually 11%. And that's extremely low, but to put that in perspective as well, when my father died of pancreatic cancer in March 2014, the survival rate was 6%. So we are trending in the right direction, but far too slowly. Even just this week, the American Cancer Society's annual update, I suppose, of the data focused on pancreatic cancer because it is such a difficult disease to diagnose and to treat. It has extremely vague symptoms and really no diagnostic test. There is a brand new, within a year, genetic testing component. It's actually done by a lab out of Marlborough, Massachusetts, oddly enough, but there's really no reliable diagnostic test for the disease. So the 5-year survival rate is 11%. However, still over 70% will die within the first year of diagnosis. And actually, I do appreciate the Halloween costumes today because it is the eve. It's Halloween, All Hallows Eve. It's actually the eve of Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. It starts tomorrow. World Pancreatic Cancer Day 2022 was Thursday, November 17th. And your colleague dressed as Ruth Bader Ginsburg is actually quite appropriate today because she herself died a little over 2 years ago from pancreatic cancer. So that is why I wanted to come before you. Pancreatic cancer, while among the most deadly, is often one of the most overlooked. And as such, I appreciate your consideration of the proclamation of November as Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month.
I know you do this work not only to help others, but in honoring your father, and it's a wonderful thing you do. My hat's off to you. Anybody, do we need a vote on this, or?
Thank you for coming before us, and thank you for sharing the information. And I hope that the viewers who are watching it make sure that they are screened when appropriate and take the necessary steps to ensure their survival.
Wonderful.
May your dad rest in peace.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
make a motion that we move and to sign the proclamation calling for November 2022 Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month in the town of Dartmouth.
Second.
Second. Any discussion or comments from anybody? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
I hear none. We appreciate you coming, and thank you for your.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just to let you know, Brock has colored sweatshirts for whatever event that he's carrying for the. So he's wearing purple today for the month of November.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, Brock.
Okay. Moving on. Next, town administrator update.
No, they,
No, we
tree
got
committee charge.
Tree committee.
Oh, my God, I had a.
You can't leave that out.
So just
A lot of
a
time.
small update. In the last meeting, the board discussed the draft tree committee charge and made some amendments to it and voted to finalize it. This charge is the finalized charge. We're soliciting letters of intent. I just wanted to include the finalized charge in the packet because we had not received letters of intent, but subsequent to the packet being put together over the weekend, we received a number of letters of intent, so we'll be sharing those, bringing it back before the board for their appointment at the next meeting.
Well, this was one of our fastest formed committees, and with passionate people, and it's a great thing we're doing, and the great work they're
They're
doing.
going to do one heck of a job.
No vote necessary, just a.
No, just an update.
Okay. And now, I guess we can move on to the next, would be the town administrator update.
Yes, so quickly on a shell fishing update from the harbor master. The Division of Marine Fishery biologists and the harbor master conducted routine water samples throughout Dartmouth recently. It was reported to the harbor master on Friday that 5 of the sample areas failed to meet water quality standards for either commercial or recreational harvesting. Causes include significant late season rains after a dry summer, as well as significant bird population explosion in many areas of the harbor. Due to these samples, the usual November 1st reopening of the North Harbor will not occur this year. Another sampling trip will be scheduled and tested in the Division of Marine Fisheries laboratory as soon as possible. And it is expected that the next round of testing should allow some, if not all, of the upper harbor to be cleared in the next few weeks. This will be posted on the harbor master's website as well as the town website, and until the harbor master receives notice from the state, the harbor master will be leaving up the posted closed to harvesting signs on the north side. So that's that. As far as town staff go, last week I conducted a all-town employee meeting to discuss a number of items for all the employees so that they are aware from multiple departments. We had about 50 staff attend over the 2 sessions. Discussed the select board goals with them, operating and capital budgets, town projects, significant town projects, means of staff development, and how to communicate both internally and externally better, and what we're always striving to do, and also employee health and wellness, where the meetings went very well. The employees were excellent, engaged, and it's nice to that they're aware of, they were appreciated hearing what's going on in town on a higher level, and we hope to have more of these meetings in the future, which we will. So after the first of the year, they went very well.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
just 50? Only 50? How many?
But the school was not included.
Right, I understand that,
But,
because they're in session.
They're in session. So 50, yes, we could have had more, but you have to start somewhere. It was about 25 each session. It included all the municipal departments in this building and the outside buildings, the library. It's hard to get every employee in for
Right, I
these types of
understand
meetings.
that, but that's why you hold multiple sessions. Some can, I think it needs to be trickled to the department heads to make it an effort to get the people in, because it's important. You know?
Yes, I agree. So we're moving forward.
I mean,
Let's look. We have a department head meeting monthly. This will be an item to discuss next week at our department head meeting about attendance and notification. And the reason for the town employee meetings is because sometimes all the information isn't getting from department head meeting to the employees.
right,
So
and
I
that's
wanted
why
to make sure
it's important to get the information coming, and please, no knock on this, from the horse's mouth.
Right.
I mean, instead of, hey, I heard this. No, that's not what was told. At least you're getting it. And
Well,
okay,
the validity of the meetings is strong.
there's no question. Having the meetings with staff is extremely important, so that they are aware of what's going on, because sometimes it doesn't trickle down. But the question that I have is, why was there only 50? Was it because they weren't notified, or they just didn't feel comfortable in coming?
It needs to be supported by the department head to say, let me know which of the two meetings you want to attend, and I'll make sure the phones are covered or the office is covered.
It needs to be supported by the department heads, but it also needs to be supported by the supervisors under those department heads, and that is key.
Well, I would also add that this is the first time we've done it, and I think that hopefully the word is positive because the people went. So maybe scheduling another session at different times of the day would be, is it possible to do it in the month of November, or is it not?
I think it's too.
we're going to do one after the first of the year. So I think, to your point, I think it was well received by the employees that attended. I think word of mouth will spread. So
Absolutely,
I anticipate
yeah.
future meetings will be much
Right.
better attended.
So they were publicized starting soon that we're going to have a meeting in January. But
Okay, it was
great
just,
that we have.
just
It's
when,
okay.
when you know the number of employees in town and you hear a number well below your expectations, it's like, whoa, what's going on?
Especially if this is something in response to a need that they have communicated. We don't know what's going on.
Right.
You hope those individuals who have professed that
If like the
did
school
come.
department held a meeting, of staff, and then, they say, only 25 people showed up. Well, wait a minute, that's less than 10% of the employees. What's going on? That type of
Not
thing.
allowed, it's in our contract.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Well, hopefully the word will get out, and we'll plan one for January, and those that didn't go can attend another.
Yes.
And maybe we can also improve our presentation based on the feedback we got too.
Yes.
Not to say that wasn't great, but yes.
We're starting to prepare for the FY24 budget, meeting with our interim director of budget and finance, Gary Carrero, to draft the memo that'll be shared with the select board and the FinCom to kick things off in early December. The McBratney property RFPs, we reviewed the RFP. We've replied to the respondent with request for more information that's required as part of the RFP, so we're waiting to hear back on that. Under Human Resources, Denise Bosang, our Personnel Administrator, along with Cody, helped to apply for a $14,000 wellness grant from Maya to conduct management training for the supervisors and department heads. So that was we were just notified today that the grant was awarded from Maya, so that was excellent. It's going to cover a lot of the costs of that training. Working with the Harbor Management Plan Implementation Committee on creating a docks and piers policy and creating a more formalized internal team to review and approve the applications, because the docks and piers touch many different departments, so we're trying to formalize that and streamline it. Working with an internal team on Native American history and culture within town. We'll be reaching out to the community to solicit participation from Native Americans that are residents of Dartmouth. So I'll be sending that notice out this week. Chad Deschamps, Tim Lancaster, and Becky have been evaluating online recreation programming applications to better manage summer programs and all programs throughout the year, sign-ups, notifications, and to streamline that process and allow for people to sign up for camps and other programming online. And we've put together our internal team to redesign the town's website, focusing on usability and content access. So they kicked off last week, so they'll be moving forward over the next few months. And lastly, we've submitted our Green Communities annual report to the state. In a nutshell, our energy usage is down almost 6% from last year due to a lot of the initiatives that have been funded through the Green Communities program. So we're on the right track. And that's all I have.
Mr. McDonald?
Couple things. I noticed that the Park Department has started the renovations of the north end park playground equipment and stuff.
Yes.
However, there was some chatter regarding late night activities in there. I wonder if we can notify DPD about maybe, you know, the cruiser in the area going by every so often when, you know, the gates are closed. See, the gates aren't locked because of, I guess, access by first responders in case something happens. So that's kind of an invitation for whatever, you know. And there is some concerns from some of the people along the area where where the park is, of containers and whatnot being thrown in the lawn as they're leaving, you know, during the evening hours and whatnot. If that could all, you know,
I'll pass that along.
Pass that along.
No question, it's going to bring more attention to that area. Yeah.
And had an idea coming into the meeting tonight. A lot of people are volunteering on trunk or treats, where you have a mass gathering of people and the kids kind of make it a little safe. And I'm wondering, and this is, I'm looking at our assistant town administrator over there, whether or not it would be feasible for the town to sponsor a trunk or treat in the coming years, where we can maybe have businesses, you know, sponsor something. I mean, we have space. You know, we have lots of space. The middle school front parking lot would be perfect for this. Drive in, drive out, you know, whole deal. So I'm just wondering if maybe that's something, you know. I know Parks and Recs like to get into the Christmas thing, so, you know, for us pagans, you know, maybe we're gonna, and those who like Whoppers and Kit Kats, you know, something, you know, maybe
I do
that
know when
way.
the Fire District 1 holds their trunk or treat, all the town departments have a decorated vehicle trunk
Yeah.
with, you know, offerings.
There's something to
candy
kind of, you know,
offerings. Yeah.
it makes it a lot easier, you know, I mean.
I think a lot of groups are doing it to avoid tonight going out door to door trick or treating.
Yeah.
I know that the schools have all done something this year. The schools, I will say, elementary schools, each one did something this year where the kids received, you know, in the evening could come by and receive
Right.
something at their school, a trunk or treat or a table treat, depending what they called it. So I think there is a move to do that, and all 3 fire districts offered something on different evenings.
Right.
So, but that certainly
Yeah, there's something.
would be
I
nice
mean,
to have
just
something.
Maybe, you know, we can look at something like that down, you know, in the future. You know,
I know.
You know, as somebody
Texas
who was-
Roadhouse in the past has done.
somebody
it
who had a
themselves.
large bag of candy stolen when he was 8 years old by these bigger kids.
That is
you
so
know,
fresh.
Yeah, I wasn't very happy about it.
Recovered, haven't you?
I don't think he
Well,
has
that
recovered.
was, you know, that was the hard part about living in the city at the time. So
Oh. You didn't receive a rock, did you?
no, no,
That only happened on
no.
Okay.
Snoopy.
Any, Mr. Mickelson? I'd just like to quickly mention that we, for many viewers or people that are looking at this meeting right now, we had a workshop session tonight with the Waterways Commission. We are very grateful. They came. We were very engaged. We touched on a lot of points, and we look forward to these going forward, a couple more before the year's out, and then moving into January and February. And our goal is to be more efficient, more cooperative, and maybe make some changes that would be better for all of us.
And it was recorded, and will be available on DCTV's.
And we're a big town with a small government, and the more we can talk, communicate, and on a process, the better it's going to be, because we're a growing town. And it's that clean water, the clean water issue you mentioned tonight on the harbor is part of our workshop, and part of our focus in the harbor is cleaning up the water, period. And we have projects going, and another indication how important that is. So grateful for them being here and participating, and look forward to more as we go forward. Okay. Anybody else, any information announcements?
Give out minutes.
Minutes, that's next. Did I skip that?
Oh, you skipped old business too, but I don't have any updates on any of the old business.
Jumped right to it, huh? Okay, my apologies. So we're moving to minutes of October 3rd.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Second. Any comments or questions on the minutes of October 3rd?
No.
For a vote, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? I hear none. Minutes are accepted for October 3rd. Information we did relate to that. I think other than that, now we need another motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, we'll put this on in honor of Mrs. Brooks. We'll leave
Thank you.
honoring Halloween. Happy Halloween out there. Be safe.
Be safe.
Yeah, everyone
And,
be safe. Watch those kids.
Okay. We have a second on that, do we?
We do.
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I hear none. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Mr. Lincoln.